it was bullshit. Sorry, and we're live, but anyway.
Yeah, we're going live right now.
Well, good, that was bleak. Anyway, so the guy is looking and he goes, "Oh, I just got an email from one of our other developers who they have tweaked their, what's it called when you can't get on because you're out of the country?
Oh, the VPN.
Parameters there. Well, I told him I tried using a VPN. But anyway, he said, "Oh, we just got one and he thinks he's fixed it." I said, "Really?" After a month and a half, all it took was a little tweak because I'm in Mexico. Thank you for wasting this half hour of my time, plus all the others, because I probably wrote them a message a day onto their help line.
So, did
Anonymous?
Yeah.
you have tested it though? It is working
yeah,
now.
it's working.
Oh,
was
good.
working because I go, "Okay, let me try it." And I go, "Gosh, you guys are magic." And he said, "No, I just got this email saying that they did."
So you were, well, why were you on the phone with them? Like, wouldn't it have been working before you got on the phone with them if that's the case? It wasn't. That's odd.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like he just.
I think
Yeah, it's like he checkboxed something about your account.
exactly.
That's what it
And I
feels
thought,
like.
Do you think I'm really stupid? I mean, really stupid?
Do you really want me to answer that?
It's like, are you trying to tell me this was working weeks ago? Because I'm calling you because it's not working 10 minutes ago.
On the 19th of October or the 18th, when they did an upgrade to the system.
Well, this is the San Carlos Computer Club. I have hit the broadcast button, so we're live on YouTube. I am Scott Stimpson from International Computer Solutions, and we get together every Tuesday and share our tech stories and news and anything related to us doing stuff here in San Carlos. So welcome, everybody. We have a virtual meeting that's going on right now, as well as our in-person meeting here at Tequilas. If you're flashing through the screens, you'll see us sitting here. We have a small group. A number of our members are on a trip. We've got a small group online. I don't know what that is. A number of our members might be drunk. Just not sure. But Chester's with us. Dad's with us. Good morning. I hope you guys have brought some topics. We've been listening to Judy talk about her customer support problem at the bank, which apparently had been resolved a week before she called, though it didn't work until she called.
I have a couple of items.
That's kind of the
Good summary?
nuts and bolts of that.
Yeah. What do you got, Chester? Put something on our agenda.
First thing is everywhere. Sometime, maybe months ago, someone had recommended the movie Whale. And
The Whale.
Yeah, we finally got around to watching it and was just astounded at the quality of the acting. The principal actor in the movie probably weighed 500 pounds. And I don't know where they got him, but he sure did a beautiful job.
Well,
acting.
Chester, you know, that is an actor named Brandon Fraser. He's been around forever. And that movie has brought him back into the spotlight. It's really a comeback story for him. He's gone through a lot of depression, gained a lot. The Whale. The Whale was done with what do you call them? The silicone. It was a fake he was wearing. But him himself, as an actor, went through years of depression. He was a really fit superstar, a teen heartthrob in a number of different silly movies. George of the Jungle is one that comes to mind. But he also did Encino Man. These are movies I don't expect you have seen, but my generation grew up with those movies. We know him quite well. The Mummy Returns, the Scorpion King type movies. He was the lead actor in those until The Rock became the lead actor. And his career kind of floundered. He gained a bunch of weight, lost hair, just patchy hair loss, and just has had a lot of trouble coming back onto Hollywood. And the whale has really justified him as an actor, and now you're finding him in all kinds of stuff.
A recent upgrade of Windows 11 and a new program called Copilot. And I thought you may want to have some comments about Copilot.
Yes.
I've not delved into it, so I'm not informed.
Well, I have not had the opportunity to play with the Windows 11 Copilot, and Jim is here today telling me about the Windows 10 Copilot, which I have not installed in my computer yet. Jim just made a relching sound. Jim, would you like to add something to the Copilot?
I think it's awful. If it keeps popping up, blocking what you're doing, you try to do something, and it comes clear across your screen. I got rid of it in both Windows 11 and disabled it.
So the Copilot is supposed to, and what they've had in the past, they own GitHub, which is a developer's website where open source code, and they've had a Copilot that GitHub longer than Microsoft has owned. And the idea of the Copilot was to help them write code, kind of similar to how I've described using Bard to help me in some of my coding assignments. And Microsoft took this idea and breed GPT clients as Copilot. So they have a client for Bing, they have a client for Skype. We've talked about these things, and they've got this client for Windows in its entirety that is now rebranded Copilot, and the search for options and icons with a simple phrasing to help you get to what you're trying to accomplish. How do I dim my screen? And it would pop the control in front of you. How do I change the wallpaper? It would pop the control in front of you. You'd no longer be going for here and surfing through menus. And you felt a little bit of this because search has gotten so more refined that you can do that. You go into settings. How often do you remember where a setting is anymore? They've moved things around so much, but search has gotten so much better that any platform I go on now, if I can, I'm very quick to go to the search and search for change wallpaper or wallpaper, search for passwords, find the password manager. And so the organization, that hierarchical structure of organization is becoming less and less, you're becoming less and less dependent on it. And if this was the product that they hoped it would be, and I'm sure this is the direction people like Jim are like, this is ridiculous and in my way, is this idea that you are no longer having to search for these things, you're asking for them out of the air.
Isn't that what Siri does already?
Well, Siri sucks at this, though.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it's horrible at this.
No, it doesn't.
It's
Siri
on Apple.
Siri open passwords.
That Siri is good at just this kind of activity. Yes, it's not good at anything else except this kind of activity.
I don't know, I use Siri quite a bit.
There was never a Siri for Windows before. The only thing that existed before was the what was the name of that? I've forgotten it already. And really, when we talk about Siri, we're talking about voice assistants, not artificial intelligence in the chat GPT manner that we're thinking about. But you're not wrong to compare it to Siri, because the way I understand it, what I've just described is the only thing that we're supposed to expect from Windows 10 Copilot, whereas the Windows to get into things like helping you with your code, helping you write a Word document, things of that
Oh,
nature.
I see. It's got a different premise.
That's right.
The only trouble is it keeps popping up whenever you're doing anything.
Well, and you can turn it off. So much like the best feature of new features that Microsoft puts out, it disable it.
But it's not easy to find.
You
To
can't
really
use
do
the basket to
You
open the
can't
button.
uninstall
Yeah, really. If it's a good Copilot, you should be able to click on it and go, "How do I uninstall you?"
it. Yeah, you can't.
Wow.
Not until April.
That's a old school version of going to the C drive and hitting delete asterisk dot asterisk.
Microsoft got slapped. Scott can tell you more about it. The ELU,
Yeah, well, the European Union's regulation committee.
they're going to have to add in uninstall
Well, even
feature for all their software they're cramming down your throats.
anything that's justified a gatekeeper application like Internet Explorer. I mean, they've already gone through that with Edge.
And Copilot and Meeting, that's another one that's.
Yeah, no, I'm just very impressed by what the European Union has given us as far as options, because what you're describing, Jim, is great. You've got a base operating system, and operating systems nowadays should be considered infrastructure. They should be considered an appliance. Part of your computing appliance is the operating system. It is inappropriate for that to be dictating which direction you go with that appliance. You should be the one that has control over that. And we have all these markets open now because of digital devices. We have markets in telecommunications. We have markets in mapping and geofencing. We have markets in now, just as Jim said, artificial intelligence and assistance. And we've known for a long time there's markets in internet browsers. And so what they did originally in the EU was force Microsoft to remove their browser and put a browser selection choice, so that when you start up a new computer in the EU, you get presented with an interview asking you which browser you want to have. And I suspect that's the way they're going to deal with all of this. Your Messenger is going to be that way. Hey, you don't have to use Microsoft Messenger or Facebook Messenger. You can, or Skype, that's the one. Teams, Skype, Messenger. Teams right now is automatically installed and activated when you start up a new computer.
Yeah,
Horrible.
it's awful.
Awful.
It was awesome during COVID.
And there's a trick with Teams on 11 anyway. You can't stop it.
Right.
So I got this and uninstalled it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work.
You can't
It
uninstall it.
keeps coming back.
Mm-hmm.
You actually disable it.
You can stop it from a startup app. You can't uninstall it. And then if somebody decides to start it up for any reason, it's back in the automatic startup.
I know.
Yeah. No, so this is what you would consider abusive behavior,
Yes.
right?
I thought it was abusive that even though I told them over and over again at my credit union that I worked on Mac, they insisted that I use Microsoft Teams. And then they would go, okay, now log into the app.
I don't have a login.
I can't log into the app. Don't do it. It was like, you are really trying my patience.
Well, it's unfortunate. What bank is this?
It's credit union.
It's a credit union
Yes, it is.
from Colorado.
Yeah.
It's just really poor form not to have a variety of customer support from platforms you could possibly be using.
Right, even though when I type in my message, I word.
Yeah. Well, and there is team clients for Apple that you can use. The pushing that is it's almost like they get something out of making sure you're doing it this one particular way.
And maybe so.
I don't know.
It's kind of like,
It would, it'd be interesting to find out what kind of rules can be applied Teams or any piece of software you might use. I wouldn't put it past Microsoft to have licensing agreements to give deep discounts as long as you follow certain procedures. That's just business as usual. And Windows 11 continues to get a bad name because they keep putting advertisements everywhere they can. They mostly for their own products, but they're not opposed to advertising somebody else's product right in your start menu.
And it's quite a nice operating system once you
Declutter all that crap.
Stop all that crap.
Declutter. Once you declutter it, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, what I've gotten in the habit of doing now that I've had to rebuild a number of Windows organization in Phoenix is my standard move now is download Windows 11 onto a USB drive, install it as a base vanilla install, and then I've decluttered the majority of the crap that could have been offered. But you still, if you don't select the correct deinstall, it will recognize the platform that you're on and go, oh, Lenovo has this whole package that you're supposed to install, and just install it. Won't ask you if you want it, will just install it. And so you have to specifically tell Windows not to include any of the manufacturer's garbage. And who knows how long that they keep making changes weekly to their operating system. We may reach a point where, oh no, you bought a Lenovo, you have to install this package of crap. That's the agreement. You don't really own Windows unless you install the crap. And the truth is, you don't really ever own Windows.
You didn't know you paid for it.
Right.
Some
But
people pay for the damn copy.
Yeah, well, and it's a misnomer to think that you own Windows. You never own any piece of software. You're always leasing it. Hey, Mom's here too. Good morning, Mom. We have a small group. We have people in. We got a couple of us here in Tequilas and a couple of people online. Did you bring any topics for us today, Mom? I don't know if she can hear me. Okay. Yes. Did you bring? You got any topics?
Wish I did.
Oh no, that's a good sign. That means things are working.
I've got a
My only topic is I've got to have you get into my computer.
Okay.
That's all.
That's it.
That's all.
That's it.
Judy mentioned she had another topic. What do you got, Judy?
Should I install 17.1.2?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I've been asking myself the same question. Should I install it or should I wait till 17.2? Because is they put out another patch. That's how we got to 17.1.2. But this is the first time they didn't increment 16.
They're doing away with 16. I know it.
Well, I know they're doing away with it, but what their typical development path is to, if they fix the security concern in 17, they're going to have the same security and release that until they stop supporting 16. They haven't stopped supporting 16, so this last increment is an indication that 17 had a problem that doesn't exist in 16, right? And so to me, I mean, like I was ready at 17.1.1, about to make the leap, assuming that the next thing I was going to see was 17.2. And to see 17.1.2 and not an increment for 16 tells me that they found a unique problem in 17 that had to be fixed, which I'm sorry, makes me more hesitant to upgrade until 17.2 because they are unique problems with the new operating system. They're not standard security issues. They're unique problems with that operating system. And again, this is only until they stop supporting 16. They have not stopped supporting 16. So they found something in 17 that is not a problem in 16. Whatever it was, Apple is not very good about.
So one of your daughters had already done it.
Yep. Yeah. And well, she's still running it. She will have done 1.2 as soon as she can, because that's the way she's been rolling. And I warn her from time to time. It's like, that's the only phone you got. So you upgrade it has a problem. You're out of commission until we're able to solve. But she's living on the edge.
So I'm glad it came out last week and I couldn't be here because we went on a trip to Pearl Farm. But anyway, so I thought, well, I'll just wait. There's no hurry, even though that red dot drives me crazy.
Right. The way that red dot is all social engineering. I'm trying to let Jim in, but it does not seem to be letting him in.
Somebody
Jim,
just
you there? Hello.
looks
I've
like-
tried to let you in a half a dozen times now. Can you hear me? I don't know if he can hear me. There's no picture. There's no. Oh, here he's asking to get in again. Did he make it this time? I wonder if he's got a crappy internet connection.
I thought he was here.
This is a different Jim.
No.
Oh, you mean here in San Carlos? Well, that might be why he has a crappy internet connection.
Friends of mine have both Juan's service and fiber. And Juan's was down to like 8.
Yeah. I've been having similar, and he's like, well, your antenna is too close and it's probably causing problems. I mean, to be fair, at times it's insane how much speed there is. But at these, like nothing changes. Nothing changes. All of a sudden there's problems.
The wind had tweaked there.
Oh, okay.
That then he had to put a filter.
Well, Juan's going to run me a cable because the antenna is right behind the repeater is right behind my house. And so he's just going to run me a cable. And I'll be like, great. There'll be one more troubleshooting technique. When it comes through the cable with the same problem, you're going to know for certain it's the other end that's giving you issues. To be fair, he's worked really hard and make these connections really stable. But it's a lot. It's a lot to keep track of.
So my question was, doesn't he know that your service is bad?
Doesn't he? In what regard?
It's getting 8. Isn't that not something that is possible?
Well, there isn't necessarily something that's saying like when your neighbor is getting 8, I might be getting 60.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there isn't anything monitoring these individual connections. So like he can test his point-to-point connections and see, and that's what I do. Whenever I'm seeing a slowdown of his service, I'm immediately checking speeds between my antenna and his antenna. But I can't go much farther than that. And between me and him is all good. It's him and his router, and him and his router is good too. I'll test that too. But it's on the other end of that router sometimes. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes you get up there and you're like, oh wow, that was a fast speed. Now can I report it? And you keep watching it, and then it dies again. And you're like, no, this is a problem on the other end. But it's intermittent. And so, no, to answer your question, there isn't a clean way to perpetually be monitoring it. He just doesn't have enough equipment on. If he had a server station at each one of these repeaters where he could be sending out and receiving traffic reports, that may be a possibility at some point. I'm good. Gracias. But Judy, what he assured me was he's got 1,000 megabits a second on his main point now. So nobody should be suffering for bandwidth. That's why I'm like, well, let's install the cable, because then I'll have one more troubleshooting point, and it'll be very obvious that it's not on this end that's
He
the
was
problem.
just there last week.
Yeah.
Because I was going, I said, did you run a speed test? And, well, no. And I said, well, you should, because when you switch back and forth between the two, it should tell you something.
Well, and when we had that big sandstorm, I was out of town, and my kids went from my kids in Yuya went from 60 to 40 to 60 megabits a second down to 4 and 10 because the winds whipped the antenna around and bent the pole. And so they were really reliant on our crap connection from Telmex the majority of the time.
So you still can't get fiber over there?
No. And I have talked to a number of different people now that have cursory involvement with, and everyone is like, they have no new fiber installations.
Well, and the same thing is happening to some people in Loma Del Mar, not able to get a fiber connection.
Now, because they've only got so much capacity up there, and you guys have already contracted it. This is what I was saying the other day, is that we've gone back to the late 90s, early 2000s, when you had to hang on to your telephone line.
That's still the same way.
Well, for telephone lines, it is not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. You might end up with a different phone number, but you'll always end up with a telephone line. Now, before they physically did not have enough lines.
Right, that's why
and
all of us old-timers in Loma Del Mar never
pay annually.
Never got rid of it.
That's right. We went away around.
I got fiber right away too.
Exactly the reason you should have, because the fiber has brought us back to that time period. If you want a fiber high-speed internet connection, you want to pay annually for it, because if you decide to cancel it, your neighbor will contract it right underneath you. And if they've contracted enough bandwidth, sorry, we don't have any bandwidth to give you under fiber. You might already have the fiber line in mind, and they will light it up, but they'll only light it up to the amount of internet that they can sell you, because they've already sold that capacity to someone else. I'm trying to get Richard to get fiber. They've started fiber connections down his block, and to me, what that means is something broke. They had to buy a new piece of equipment. Oh boy, it gives them more capacity. So now they can sell more fiber lines in that block. And I'm like, get the fiber and contract as much fiber as you can. Get 200 megabits if you can.
I've got the basic. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't easy because they didn't have fiber available. And now they're making it available, but they're not doing any kind of new installation. They've obviously just changed equipment in that area, and so now they just, lo and behold, twice as fast, half the price. They've got more capacity to sell, so they're selling it. And I'm like, you got to be the first one on that line.
Because I was the first one in Loma Del Mar. Because I had called in to the 800 in Mexico City and said there's something wrong with my phone, and they said, oh, okay, we'll send somebody out. Well, install the fiber.
I bet that if you had contracted 200 megabytes, there would be 4 neighbors that would be disappointed they weren't getting internet right now.
I was the first one on that.
Yeah.
And my neighbor was the second.
I'm like, get as much as you want. I might buy another antenna. I'll point at your house.
And they give you an extra 50 megs for free. Did they do that?
I don't know.
Yeah, we paid for 150, and we get 200 steady. They told us that when we signed up. We're giving you an extra 50 megs.
I get 56.
You, Judy.
Down 200 and 100.
Wow.
Something like that.
Well, all that speed is meaningless when the connection goes down.
That's true.
But in Colorado, when they came over, they said, oh, we can install fiber at your house, and this line won't be torn down that strings up above by the big trucks. I said, oh, okay. Not realizing that they were actually taking out my hardwired phone. So now I just have an internet phone,
No, you have internet. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
which is, and they wouldn't, but my brother-in-law, who had the same issue, they actually let him keep his hardwired phone.
Sure.
As long as it's not on the same wire.
They pulled the wires, I guess it wouldn't have been on the same wire. I
Well,
watched
they-
them pull the wire.
Well, it almost sounds like they were offering you a favor. Like let's that way you don't have to worry about it going out. We can put your phone on the
Strung across
yeah.
the road, and the big, if a moving truck went up the road.
yeah.
They
So they looked at it as a win-win. You won't ever have that problem again, and they won't ever have to come out and fix it again.
However, if electricity goes out,
Yep, that's right. It's funny, the kids.
I've got a backup on my router. Yeah, battery backup. It'll run the router for an hour, and the modem.
if the electricity goes out in Colorado, an hour will do it.
Battery backup.
Yes, Chester. You had something you wanted to. You're muted right now.
I'll fix that. I'm looking at the screen for the San Carlos Computer Club. Get the logo in the center. This is the big screen that's supposed to show either you or the audience. And I get a big screen here that's got a logo in the middle of it. And I'm curious of why that is.
I think that you might be on Spotlight when you go into change layout. There is different options for layout. There's Spotlight. And if you're not getting our video feed just showing the icon, I would check to make sure that you're like on tiled and that you have pinned my feed. There's two feeds. There's another one that's providing video, and you want to have the video end so it's the center of your experience.
So I need to go to over here.
There's
on
an
the far.
ellipse. Yeah, at the bottom in the middle of the toolbar, there's a more options. And I would look under that to change layout. The layout is set at, and I'm suspecting it's set at Spotlight.
Meeting details, and the other show everyone, and the third one is chat with everyone.
I think you're looking for the one in the middle that says more options.
I don't see that one.
It's a circle with 3 dots and a line to the hang up button.
Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Okay, so on that, and the menu pops up, and at the top there's one that says change layout.
Yeah, I got that.
And then look at your layout options.
And it got auto, its own auto.
Okay, so I would probably switch it to tiled.
Will do.
And then at tiled, you'll see all of us, but I always present stuff and all of us. And so if you want to have that experience, then you would pin my video feed. So that's all you're watching. That will flip between camera views and put things on the screen. Whereas if you don't pin it, then I'm just one of the boxes of talking heads. If you hover over the one that you want to have centered, there'll be a stick pin to the left of a menu that pops in the middle, and you would just click that stick pin, and that would focus your presentation on that one talker, that one feed.
Yeah, I see that, but I don't get anything except what I've got before.
Well, you're probably looking at the audio feed. There's one in there that just has the San Carlos. Here, I suspect this is the one you're looking at. I'm going to turn on my camera.
Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah, see, this is what you're looking at is the audio feed. So there's another one in that tile that is showing everything. You'll know it's the right one because right now you'll see two of me.
So I click on the little pin again.
That's right. And then that should bring it forward and make that the focus of what you're watching.
Oh.
Now I'm just shooting through our views. You can see we've got a skeleton crew in Tequilas.
I can't see anything in that. Oh, yeah, all green is just the logo.
Okay, so you unpin the logo. Because you can actually have more than one speaker pinned.
It says you can't remove this participant, and then it says don't watch, which is the camera.
I'm not sure what that is you're looking at. Don't watch. I don't know, Chester. Judy's suggesting maybe you want to just disconnect and reconnect.
I did that earlier, but I think I'm okay now.
Okay, good.
I got the audience, including Judy, and I've got all that now in a big one.
Yeah, it'll flip around to other views. There's a view of everybody that's with me.
Yeah, okay.
There's a view of everybody that's here in Tequilas. I'm in the corner.
Yeah, it's doing that.
Jim's waving at you.
Yeah, I see Jim.
Andy. Yeah, I'm getting that logo too, and I pinned a couple, and now I can't unpin it. It said "pin for yourself." Pin for yourself.
You should be able to unpin just by pointing at the pinned stick pin and removing it. Just clicking on it again.
No.
That's weird.
No. Anyway, I have two pins.
Try unpinning the other one.
I tried.
Neither one of them can be unpinned.
No, it said "pin for yourself." So I guess I'm committed for this session. Maybe when we change meetings, that'll work.
Sure, maybe.
I'm gonna change the layout just to go to auto or something and see what happens.
Yeah, play with that. Those settings are in there.
Oh, well, no, that didn't need nothing happen there. Even though I had to do something else.
It's not in my settings, no.
Sidebar. I'm going to go to sidebar. Oh, there we did.
Someone has provided an article about ad blockers that I have not had a chance to read. Is anybody with us that provided this article in our document?
No, but I raised the subject last week.
Yeah, somebody has recently added this Rs article, which I haven't had a chance to. I mean, recently, like in the last 30 minutes. So we might. Oh, now I'm losing internet for some reason.
I can still hear you.
Oh, good. Good. It seems like it's back again.
Up here in the dark in Canada.
Well, I'm going to sit on that article unless somebody owns up to it and wants to say something about it. I did want to point out, here's an article that I brought with me. 9 to 5 Mac has explored this picture. I had no idea it even existed because I'm hardly on social media anymore. But if you take a look at this picture, this is an amazing optical effect. It has made waves because she has obviously got 3 different poses looking at her wedding gown in a 3-way mirror or 2-way mirror. That's probably the wrong, what do you call that? I don't know, profiling mirrors. She's buying a wedding dress. But somebody took a picture of her, and you can see it's almost like 3 different ghosts of the same person. And it had a funny tag on it going through social media, like it's a glitch in the matrix. Here's proof that we're living in a simulation, this picture. And what I found interesting about this is there's a group out there, there's a website out there that actually spends its time analyzing photos. And they've come up with the reason that nobody faked this picture. That's the first thing is everybody's like, oh, it's Photoshopped to look that way. And you could absolutely Photoshop this picture. But what they've determined is this was a panoramic picture. They had their iPhone on panoramic, but they didn't pan. And they snapped this shot, and she was in the process of moving her hand position, and the panoramic AI in the iPhone stitched together the changes in her arm position to result in this picture. I thought this was interesting to point out, because if this is possible, you can know that there's going to be people out there attempting to make photos like this. They're going to be putting it on panorama, doing a still shot, and seeing what kind of effects they can create with them. Yeah. So I bring it up because I want to see some of these photos show up. Some of these odd.
But it brings up an issue with the camera, the iPhone, where it will occasionally just move off a photo, and you are taking a photo that you think is a photo, but it's a panoramic or it's whatever. I think that they will have some other way to lock that in.
So that changing modes without knowing. I don't know what to do. You know, I've really enjoyed being an iPhone owner. This last phone. This last phone's been an iPhone 11, and I tell you, I bought it because I wanted to pull it out and be able to take pictures. And that is something that I just do not feel like is a stable proposition on an Android phone. At any moment, your Android phone works great, has all the features, but at any moment, there could be something that you installed or you set up that is interfering with your ability to pull your phone out of your pocket and take a picture. And that is not the case on the iPhone platform. No matter what problems you have with it, you can always pull out your phone and take a picture. That being said, I've been very disappointed with the sheer number of inadvertent screenshots that I've taken. I've been disappointed with how often I go to the camera and inadvertently put it in the wrong mode. So all I want to do is some candid shots, and it turns out I've got it on video, or I've got it on portrait, or I've got it on a mode that I never use. You know, that's what it needs. It needs a checkbox so I can say what modes are the modes I use.
Or which is the first mode, and then I will change.
Well, there is that does exist. If you go into settings under the camera, there is when it's over there taking video. But if I remember right, there is a default camera mode. So you can switch from the last one you used to always use this one, because it seems like there's 2 different modes. If you go in under settings, under camera, there is a default camera mode, and it's a pull down that allows you to choose between whatever the last mode was to a very specific mode every time. But still, it still ends up, even while I'm taking photos, I'll swipe across the screen inadvertently, and all of a sudden I'm doing a panoramic and didn't know it.
Okay, so I'm in settings, camera. I have settings, that might be it. Camera mode, preserve the last mode, such as
That's
video.
it.
That's what I already have that checked.
No. What that means is that the next time you go to the camera, it will have all the same settings as the last time you're at the camera. Now, what happens if you change that? What do you have for options for changing it?
Just turn Then I've got created controls, preserve the last use filter, exposure adjust, use the last exposure adjustment, night mode, portrait zoom, I have that on, and live photo.
No, those are all, yeah. What is this thing?
And why do I care if it records stereo sound?
I don't know. I like stereo sound when I take the video.
I normally don't have my sound on.
But you record, when you record video, a mic is active, right? Yeah. How
I
to
just
always
took a
start
video of the hummingbird so they don't say
the
much.
iPhone camera in photo. I'm doing a Google search right now. To make the iPhone camera default to the last shooting mode used, yes.
That's already switched on.
Okay, there's an Apple discussion I'm looking at. Always in photo mode. Mode of camera. It seems like... No, it seems like what you already have set is the only solution. You set it to the last mode. And if your last mode was photo, that's what's going to open up the next time. Wait, when you turn it off, preserve settings, what opens up?
Nothing. I mean, on the camera, you mean? Or where? If I turned off preserve settings.
Yeah, turn off preserve settings. And now, yeah, no, that I think that does it. If you don't preserve the settings, then it always goes to photo. Yeah, set your phone on video, like take a little video, and then leave the camera and see what it goes back to. And I would do this on my own iPhone, except it's part of the presentation. This is, if for those of you online, this is what my iPhone's doing right now. It's watching Jim watch Judy.
I took a portrait photo.
Okay.
And it came back as a portrait, as the. Yeah.
You left the still on portrait and you turned off the preserve.
Yes. So now,
That sounds counterintuitive.
it does, doesn't it? So now I'm going to go back to that, and I'm going to turn it on, preserve the last mode, such as video, LEDs,
Right.
to photo. However, it doesn't do that. So
So there's something to play around with.
I went back camera, and it's still on portrait.
Yeah, as it should be, because you're preserving the mode.
Now I'm on photo. And now it's on photos.
Yeah. So the preserve should keep it wherever you left it, but when you turn it off, you should go back to a default.
Which says
Oh.
photo.
What if you turn it off and just try a different one? Like you did portrait. Why don't you just try video and see if it stays on video with it off?
It's true.
Would reboot help when it was like a Windows machine?
Well, it's not really a reboot.
To,
but-
no, I meant to register the changes.
Right. Like you shouldn't have to, but what you're saying is maybe that would force it to, yeah. Because you should never have to do that. But you come out of a Windows world where we used to have to go and recheck check
Video
boxes.
stayed on video.
Well, you know what I'm reading? You're not alone. In fact, there's a person on here called Gooey that says, okay, then this never worked for me. No matter if this is on or off, the camera will always open in the last mode used. I mean, the latest mode. Was slow motion, it'll open in slow motion. Could be there's another setting around, a setting messing around with this. Oh. And believe you're right, it no longer works. It's a bug. Somebody else is confirming your experience as well.
And you were talking about how you're taking screenshots. Do you have it set so that if you tap your phone, it takes a screenshot?
No, but I do have it set for the two buttons. And my problem is that I manhandle my phone, having those two buttons, especially when I'm like mounting it in the car. I've got all these screenshots of mounting it in the car. And what's infuriating is that it wouldn't matter. I mean, I want to be able to quickly take screenshots in some manner. So I don't want to take away the feature. I just wish it was smart enough to recognize when I want a screenshot versus when I've just made a mistake. Like you'd think with all this AI, so they've got an AI chip in there, right? You'd think that the AI chip would be able to go, oh, well, it just moved 360 degrees in half of a second. It's bouncing around, probably not intended to be a screenshot, right? Whereas like it's been sitting in the palm of somebody's hand for 3 seconds. Maybe it's appropriate to take a screenshot. I think that kind of algorithm should be able to figure that out now.
That's why you can delete
By accident, you mean?
it intentionally.
Intentionally.
You put an app in that thing to make for screenshots,
Why would I do that?
Oh, so you could turn.
so you can program it to different buttons, like on Android.
Oh, well, yeah, you can use your side buttons. I don't use my side buttons for
But I mean-
anything.
Put an app in it to change it to something
Right.
you wouldn't be turning on.
Well, the problem is that it doesn't matter. On the iPhone, it's the power button plus the volume up. If you switch it to the volume down, I still have the same problem. If it's just the one button, it's a problem. If it's the two volume buttons, maybe the two volume buttons together would be the solution.
And I've turned that off because it kept shutting my phone off.
What do you mean?
If, like if you grab it and you put, or that up, down, it'll, when the volume up, volume down, it's a side button. And if you grab your phone, you can inadvertently turn the volume all the way down so you hear nothing.
Yeah, there's something about I did not have this issue with the previous Android phones I had. You inadvertently press this and they do things that you don't want them to do. That is my complaint. And it may be more so because I've got an iPhone 11. It's got a slightly smaller profile than the phones that are out there now. It might just be this isn't a problem they need to solve because the bigger phones people don't have those problems with. I mean, quite literally have trouble finding a place to grab without accidentally hitting a button. That's the problem.
Oh, it's still a problem. Because there are the buttons right there where you grab a phone.
Yeah. Which one do you have, Judy?
12.
The 12. Yeah. So it's slightly bigger than my 11.
Yeah. But I probably will do a 15 when we get back, or if it's a 15.
Changing the size of the phone is the right solution. I think they've got enough processing power now that they could just, are we making a screenshot or is this an accident? And I think that question can be answered.
How about changing your case?
Well,
That would be
yeah.
nice. I like your case.
So do I.
I don't like your case.
I do. It's
I
like,
like
like the guy in the pocket. It doesn't break the screen protector. It doesn't scratch it all up.
Well, this is the other thing, is that iPhones specifically, but high-end Android phones, these screens are amazing now. What do you end up seeing broken and scratched? It's the protectors. It's not the screens.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, like when you're bleeding your finger in glass, it's not the screen. It's the protector you put on it. I've been without a screen protector since I switched to iPhone because my previous Android phones were not high enough quality to have a good screen. But
Yeah, I love it.
but
My
the
wife doesn't have it. Her phone's always, the icons are moved. They're never where you put them. You can't find them because she throws the phone in her purse and then it moves everything around like she's walking.
Well, I'm not a big fan of screen protectors any longer. I mean, you have to be in a high. If you've got the $100 iPhone or the $100 Android phone, then you might want a screen protector. Of course, then again, if it's under $100, you probably don't care if it gets a scratch on it. That's the reason you bought that phone, but so it could be dropped in a puddle without feeling guilty about it. But the new iPhones, you've seen, they drop them off ladders. They use ice picks on them to see how durable that.
And they also take pictures when you don't want them to.
Yeah, and they take pictures when you don't want.
And you can probably find a case like that.
Oh, really?
I'm not a fan of that case at all. I don't like it. I like my OtterBox. I like that it feels like it's a part of the phone.
Yeah.
Like the phone actually feels naked and missing if it doesn't have the OtterBox case on it.
Charge in my car with the case on.
Now this is a wireless charge, so you may have to buy a case that supports wireless charging.
You think that this spec would support that?
Well, you might. I don't know where you got your case, but I was recently shopping for cases. They had cases that supported MagSafe and cases that didn't. And like I bought.
Well, this case charges on my stand-up charger, so it's not the case.
Is the stand-up or the it could be that your car charger then doesn't meet the standard. That could be the case too, is that it doesn't create.
It charges fine if I take the case.
Exactly. It could be that you have, because those taller standard. And so if you bought a third-party charger, it could be outside the standard. I'll give you an idea. This MagSafe standard has to include a magnet. Sorry, it's taken us a moment to get back online.
We didn't have our reminders.
Oh, I disregarded the reminders, because I'm such a professional. I'm going to remember that the meeting's going to end, of course.
Yeah, it was even up on my screen. I dreamt about it. So these AutoVox, you're just looking at a backup camera? Is that right?
It will, because it just goes up and down in video quality depending on bandwidth. Is that the one? No, this is the one. There we go. I have learned that if I want to present this on the screen up there, I have to first pin this broadcast and then go into layouts and change it to Spotlight. The Spotlight is a feature that whoever talks goes to the front. So the only way to fill up the entire screen up here for you guys is for me to pin me and then spotlight it, so everything else goes away. It's ridiculous, and there should be one option for that.
That's what developers are for, right?
Oh, and then this one needs to be hidden, so it's not in our view. There we go. There we go. Okay. So Jim, you were asking about the car thing.
Yeah.
What was your question again?
Was this Autovox that you have? What's
Otterbox. Otter. Like
TTER.
like the sea creature with the big tail.
Oh, Otter.
Otter.
Box. Oh, I got Autovox, which is a backup camera thing. Okay.
Otterbox is a phone case designer. They make cases that are close to indestructible. That's the idea.
But I have been happy with my spec as well. Just in case you can't find an OtterBox that you don't want to pay $75 for.
Well, when I was looking for a case for Yuya's new, no, she does not want an iPhone, which is, I think, just conditioning from the Latin culture. She wants a Samsung. She wants an Android phone. So I got her a Samsung S23. And when I went shopping for cases, I ran into that where it supports wireless charging, but does the case support wireless charging? And there was a distinction between the cases that were available. Now, MagSafe standard that they use for iPhones is the same situation. You can get MagSafe cases, and they have the magnet built into the case, and they conduct the charging from the charger to the phone. You can stick the wallet on it but the magnet is part of the standard. So I've got some charging pads. The iPhone, if it's not a MagSafe compliant charger, will only charge at 7 watts. If it is a MagSafe compliant, not only will it stick onto the back of your phone, so with that magnet, yeah, those will charge at 15. Anything that's MagSafe compliant should charge at 15. But to be MagSafe compliant, you have to have a chip that you've licensed from Apple, so that when your iPhone sits on the charger, the iPhone says, "I'm an iPhone, are you compliant?" And the charger says, "I'm a charger that's compliant." Then it doubles the amount of charge that's available.
But if you buy it on Amazon, say, and it says it's compliant, that doesn't normally automatically.
Well, that would be lying to you.
Well, so what?
Yeah, I know, but the idea of having standards that you're compliant with is that you know what you're buying. So they're literally lying to you if that's not the case, if it's not compliant. You could send it back to Amazon saying this isn't compliant. But I would imagine, because there's so many wireless chargers out there, it'd be very easy to buy one that could be compatible but not compliant. Yeah, just like these charging pads I got.
Anchor charger is the best charger ever.
Yeah.
But I have to make sure that my phone is exactly on it the right way. Otherwise.
So it doesn't have a magnet.
So it blinks. I don't know.
Well, no, if it had a magnet, it would be on there perfectly. It would just be connected to your phone.
But it's standing up there, so if I happen to drop it into that little charger off center.
If it was compliant, it would
grab itself.
Yeah. If it was compliant, it would have been built in a fashion that, it would either be built in a fashion so that it would support all the various sizes of MagSafe compliant iPhones, or it would have been sold to you as being compliant for only these particular size iPhones. Yeah.
But again, I can play my case for a lot of.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like your case isn't compliant.
Issue.
I bet the case is not compliant.
So do you have to take your phone out of your case to charge it? No.
Well, the better question is, do you use?
Oh, Well, yeah, you have to plug it in.
Do you, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The better question is, do you use wireless charging?
No.
No. That's the end of that conversation.
This is great for the cars.
Yeah, I love the magnetic.
Swivel on it.
That's what I use. Yeah.
Depending which car I'm in, is phone's on the dash, it's in the glove box. The other one sits on the, it worked great.
Yeah.
The wireless wouldn't work. In my
Right.
sports car, it wouldn't work in the Bug.
No, in fact, in my car, I have to plug it in. I physically plug it in.
Yeah.
Well, and then you've got cars that are. Why am I forgetting the Android name of CarPlay? Is it Drive? Android Auto. That's what it is. These interfaces in your entertainment center that connect to your phone and bring a phone experience to your dashboard. You have CarPlay for Apple and you have Android Auto for an Android machine. And
I can't use that.
for example, in my car, in our new car, you have to connect a cable to it. Whereas there's others that you can take advantage of it wirelessly. However, I don't quite understand why you take advantage of it wirelessly, because all of that generates so much usage that your battery is just draining the whole time. So it must just be out of convenience. Like maybe somebody in the back seat has their phone plugged into power and they want to be able to be the CarPlay phone. I don't know. I liked it. I used a company car in Phoenix that had wireless CarPlay, and I was able to use my magnetic charger cable, so I didn't have to pull the butt end out of it and stick in a cable to get. And that's what I have to do in our new car, is I have to take out that magnetic post and stick in a traditional lightning cable.
Because my phone does not charge with one. Because it's a 12. Those don't work.
They don't work on the 12? That's interesting.
Mine was ready to do a USB port.
Not on
No, I meant in
Yeah.
the car.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
yeah.
That plugs into the phone, so
Yeah, but the problem, you're not on an iPhone, are you?
No.
See, the problem with the iPhone is that those need to be, they need to be certified, lightning compatible. And
And those
Yeah,
little
right?
connector things with the plug-in
You're-
plugs are not,
that's right.
because I called the company.
They have to, in fact, you'll end up paying more for that kind of setup. You might as well get the MagSafe stuff because you'll pay close to that price because they have to license the chip. They have to manufacture it in the connector.
I thought this kit came with
It does,
iPhone.
it does, but it does not,
They don't work.
because it's not, whatever that's called, backward, whatever. Yeah,
What are we talking about?
those little plugs that
Well,
plug in.
Oh, yeah.
This, it came with,
It worked just fine for Judy until she upgraded to the later versions.
all right.
I mean,
Yeah.
like
It came with
I'm-
iPhone plugs.
I know I'm using one that would not work on a newer iPhone. It works on my well okay, yeah. There's probably a lot going on here because you don't have to have it licensed if you're below a certain wattage.
So it's slow.
It's slow charging. That's right. So you can't do charging.
When it was, I got my new car and that was a year ago, and I plugged it into my phone, which is also pretty new. And so nothing was working like it should, so I called that company, whenever it's called, with those little braided cables or the plugs. And they said, not compatible with the.
N-K-E-R or
I
something
love
like
that
that.
brand, really, they're very easy to talk to.
Yeah. And what it comes down to is if you want to do any of this kind of stuff in an iPhone world, you have to read all the print because they will sell you the right thing if you're buying the right thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like getting the proper case for $13 as opposed to paying the Apple price, which is $100.
Well,
On an Android. Mine's biodegradable.
Your case?
The phone.
Oh, mine probably is
And
too.
it's 4-year guarantee with updates.
Just
If it
drop it in the
breaks, I
trash.
send it back, they send you a new one.
Really?
Yep.
Oh.
Cherokee.
Cherokee?
I've got another topic,
Okay.
another light topic that you guys might find interesting. So if you're in an Apple world, I know we're talking a lot about Apple, and it's okay because Mom's here, Judy's here, and I'm here. We're all Apple people. I'm doing this whole show on Windows though. It's everything in front of these people are Windows computers. But this is another Apple topic, and one of the things that you may not have been paying attention to that's been changes in the new operating system is you can use your iPhone as your webcam, and it is supposedly very good. I have not bothered to do this. I still have my own webcams. I have Logitech webcams on my Macintosh at home. I don't have, but if you wanted one thing that has been clear for years is that the iPhone's camera is far superior to the camera that's being sold in your Macintosh computers. Even the iPads have inferior cameras compared to the iPhone. The iPhone is, especially the latest versions of this camera, are so professionally ready. They're making movies with them. Some people's careers are all based around this iPhone camera.
So what does that say up there, since I don't have on my driving glasses?
Okay, so what this article is about is what I was describing there is called continuity camera. It's the ability to run your iPhone as the webcam on your desktop computer. And what this article is sharing is that Zoom has created an application for Apple TV, and it supports continuity camera. I think it's probably the first time we've heard about this outside of FaceTime stuff. You could do FaceTime on your Apple TV with your iPhone, which is actually a really neat proposition.
To unlock the computer, please call support immediately. Please do not attempt to shut down or restart your computer. Doing that.
Hey, Scott, I thought you'd find this in.
It sounds like you're getting infected with something.
Support immediately.
I think what you should do is you should hold down the power button until your computer turns off.
Now.
Right now. And then you should turn it back on and get back into our meeting.
Please call support immediately. Please
hold down your power. Do you hear me, Pop? Pop,
Terry.
The computer lock is aimed to stop
hold down your
activity.
power button until your
Please
computer
call our
shuts
support
off.
immediately. Important security
Just
message.
let it hard turn off. Just hold down the button.
Terry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Turn down, hold that.
That's what I'm doing.
Just do a hard shutdown. Don't do anything else but a hard shutdown. We don't know what's going on with that computer right now. It's be scaring you into doing something. It could very well be you'll turn it back on. Everything's going to be fine. Maybe it's a different computer. Yeah, he's got two computers he's working with. That was great. That could have just come across a website that was compromised, and it was trying to get you to compromise yourself. It all feels very official. None of that's coming from Microsoft, though. None of that is from your operating system. And if you're doing Windows as your antivirus, none of that is language from Microsoft's antivirus. So it would get confusing maybe if you're using some antivirus, Norton's or heard before. See ya, Judy. I'm all by myself in Tequilas.
Well, we wish we were there.
Love you, Mom.
Raised myself.
So, Pop, did that come back on? Did your computer come back on?
Yeah, I think it's coming back on.
Okay, let's just
I
make
just-
sure that doesn't immediately pop up. If you have that problem again, get a hold of me later today, and we'll start troubleshooting it. But I suspect you've gone through a website that has been compromised, or you've compromised yourself in the most in the most minuscule way, there is a compromise right now where if you click on the wrong thing, you give unknown websites permission to give you notifications. And what that means then is at any moment, that website can shoot you a notification, and it can appear as a very serious thing. And so the only way to stop that right now is to recognize it and turn off those notification, that ability to give you a notification. But it also, you're not actually compromised with anything except for a nuisance. If you follow through on any of the, you could compromise your computer. The nuisances are messages like the one you just experienced, or other messages that are popping up looking like antivirus, telling you that you've gotten. But what these things are is they're just pictures that you inadvertently allowed to be notified to you in your notification system. I hate it. I hate the whole system. It shouldn't exist. All it does is get people in trouble. And whenever I come across that kind of compromise, I have a conversation with the user and I tell them, you don't want notifications, not on your desktop computer. On your phone, you need them. On your desktop computer, you do not need them. I hate the fact that they built them into these web browsers, and I go into the web browsers and I turn them off. And if you're having trouble understanding what I'm talking about, you have experienced this in modern computing. You have gone to a website and it says, this website would like to share your location. Would you like to allow or block? You've had this question, allow or block, pop up on your screen, allow or block. And you're like, what am I supposed to do? I want to do this thing, so I must want to allow it. Or they shouldn't need to know what location I'm at. Block. Well, this allow or block is for all kinds of different things. It can ask to allow or block notification. You go to the New York Times. New York Times would like to send you notifications whenever there's new articles. Allow or block. You always want to block. Until you've learned how to turn off notifications, you always want to block notifications. Now, what's frustrating is you're using Google Meet. When you first started using Google Meet, it asked you, said, you want to use your camera and your microphone, allow or block. It looks exactly the same. In that case, you have to allow it. If you don't allow it, you can't use your camera. The distinction in the exact same message, in the exact same boxed message in your browser, in the same color, in the same buttons, the only distinction is notifications. Notification, camera, microphone, location. The box with the buttons, exactly the same. It's the notifications that when you allow them from a compromised website, it can start sending 2 years ago. So I don't know if that's a good price. I would look for iPhone 11s on eBay in the United States or Amazon.com in the US and see what that price is. 2 years ago, for one that looked like new but wasn't, it was $500.
Really? Okay. So I guess.
Jim,
Yes.
capacity is the other thing you have to look at.
Oh yeah.
Large iPhone. It's got 256 gigabytes in it.
Oh yeah.
And the capacity is the biggest factor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There
are a lot of I'm sorry.
So these ones are at 128, so they're half the capacity.
Okay, so that would directly affect the price. That's probably a $300 phone or a $350 phone when I bought mine.
Okay. So it's down by a quarter from that. So now I guess the question is is it time that I should start looking at the 12s or the 13s so that I stay ahead of the curve, because I know that the SE is not going to be supported in another year, right?
Well, that's not entirely true anymore. With this law in California, they have to maintain their software and the ability to repair things up to 7 years. Now, yours was not built before this law. I mean, it was built before this law.
Right.
But the way Apple does things, there's a very good chance that your phone will be supported for that 7-year period. They were already. The 15 is new this year. I would expect the 15 to be supported until 2030.
Yeah. Well, I don't. I got to let the first couple of years of depreciation happen before I'm buying into it. But I wonder, is there a sweet spot in there with the 11, 12, 13? Then I guess is the you have.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to find it yourself. But your SE, if it was the second gen SE, then it came out in 2020. So I would suspect it's going to be good for another 4 years.
I think mine is the older generation.
I don't think so. Check your check the about and see what software you're on right now.
I think I can't remember right now, and I don't have it in front of me. So
okay.
Anyway, I just came up because you guys were talking about it, so I'm working. I got my iPad and on my knee here. So anyway, sure nice to chat with you guys. I guess we've scared everybody else off.
That's right. We've reached the end. I don't know if anybody wants to add any recommendations or if we're just out of here. I'm happy to entertain. I don't have any recommendations for this meeting. Does anybody want to share something they're reading, watching, an app or a website? No, we're way over time. Maybe we'll save it for next week.
Okay, and it's thanks a lot. I'm sorry I was late, but I had to get on here. I don't want you talking about me or anything, you know.
You missed all of that. Sorry.
I was gonna say we already did that.
There you go.
You got to get it earlier.
Yeah, well, that's good, and it's we're enjoying our the huge dump of water in the last 3 days or so. Had to get out there in the RV and make sure everything was waterproof and so on. But anyway, we're carrying on and looking forward to Christmas with family this year, so that'll be fun. All right. Anyway, all the best to all of you, and I hope you have a good week. See you next week.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Pop, how does your other computer look now? You've started it up again. Do you have any of those kinds of messages?
No.
Okay.
And I just did that as kind of a live sample for you because I knew what it was. And I hadn't held that power button down for any length of time, but as soon as I did, then it took care of it.
Okay. If you've had that before, then there's a good chance that you've inadvertently, through no knowledge of your own, because it's set up to take advantage of you, you've inadvertently allowed those notifications to be active for a number of different rogue websites. And randomly throughout the day, they can send you messages, and they will be knee-jerk kind of messages, things that you feel like you need to act on. So if you're getting any more of those, I got to get into your computer and turn that stuff off.
No, I haven't had it for a long time.
So I suspect that was one website that popped it up for you. And if you'd done any kind of follow through on it, it would have opened it up to a number of websites. But let's just keep it in mind. Don't react to it. Just let me know, and we'll dig deeper into it.
Yeah, I sure will.
All right. And I'm going to let you guys go because I got to pack up all this crap.
Yeah,
Well, we're
was
looking forward to seeing you soon.
it worth it for 2 people?
For 2 people, well, I'm a third person.
True.
You know what it's not worth is trying to make it work with less if more show up.
No.
Like if I'm like, nobody's going to show up, it's just going to be me and my laptop, and then I've got half a dozen people here.
That's
Then
true.
it's like, I wish I'd set everything up.
Tis true. You don't know in advance usually.
I don't.
Yeah.
There's Jonathan waving.
Yeah, I saw him.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to say goodbye. We'll talk later.
Okay.
See you guys.
Bye
Adios.
now.
Check
Love you.
on.
Yeah. Love you, honey.
Love you. Bye-bye. That was